Everybody. Recording in progress. Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday. I don't know about you, but I'm still waking up. At any moment, Hiba or Maggie may totally just take over the meeting, okay? If my camera goes off, then you just grab the mic. Hiba, you good for that?
I am great for that. Yes.
I know it. You are. You really are.
Thank you. I see Ben's comment, which is very sweet, or like really concerning. Either way, I'm not sure. But yeah,
No,
welcome everyone.
It's accurate. It's what it is.
Well, it's really lovely to see folks here. I think we're just going to give it 30 more seconds and then we're going to go ahead and get started. But yeah, thank you so much for being here on this beautiful day. I was telling Charles earlier that it is like an ideal Wisconsin evening. So you are going to hear children outside of my window having fun. And I hope that it makes you happy as much as it's making me. Amazing. All right. Okay. Oh, I love seeing familiar faces, and some of these Zoom pictures when you're off camera are also really beautiful as well. Cool. All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'll go ahead and welcome folks. Thank you for being here. I know many of you joined us what is almost a couple of weeks ago now for our monthly meeting where we touched on Virginia and had a great time with Meredith and Maya and hearing about New Virginia Majority. We are really fortunate to have another opportunity to hear from them. And today we are joined by Tram Ngyuen, who is their executive director, and will be sharing with us a lot of wonderful information about these races, what's at stake, and how we as Common Power are going to be able to make a difference in the upcoming election. So thank you for being here. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Charles to welcome Tram, and we'll get the ball rolling. Charles, over to you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw an audible here. Maggie's sweating. Uh-oh. So I just realized I am like surrounded by a bunch of talented women. So I'm gonna do my best to like minimize my voice in this and let y'all take it and roll. And also Tram gave us marching orders about how she thinks this thing should go from the beginning. So I'm gonna give a very minimal introduction to Tram because you can Google her. Okay, she's famous. Tram is famous. The work that New Virginia has done in the state, it speaks for itself. Tram herself is amazing. And I want to just my one piece. This is my one piece. I want to go to, oh, there's an agenda, right? Hiba, I'm sorry. I'm bypassing your agenda. Go ahead. You want to go through it?
Sure. Yeah, I will run through it, and it's no problem at all. So we are, again, lucky to be joined by New Virginia Majority, so we're going to hear about them and their work. Also very fortunate that they are bringing a guest candidate on to speak with us tonight, and we'll let Tram introduce the candidate when they have joined us. I did end up switching things around a little bit in the agenda, so we're going to go from our candidate to our Team Virginia testimonial. Then we're going to talk about how to get involved, and the last piece will be our Get to Know Virginia game. So I hope you all are excited for that and we'll be sticking around. So quick, brief agenda today.
Cool. Okay, here's my one piece. This is my one piece. That's Tram on the left. That's also Tram in the middle of the picture there. And this is my very first time meeting Tram. CP took a trip, Common Power took a trip to Virginia, and we were connected to Tram via Black Pack, who I'm pretty sure Tram has a pretty good relationship with Adrian Shropshire. And on like a hope and a prayer, Tram made some time in her schedule to talk to us. And I cropped out the food on the bottom, and there's like bags of food down there. And I remember it was just Tram. It was just Tram. And it wasn't like, you know, Tram's people. It wasn't her entourage. It was just Tram. And she just talked to us about who they were and the good work that they'd done. And I had no idea all the great history behind her work around like who she was in Virginia, how her people looked up to her. And I found out about who Tram was as a person, as an organizer, as a leader, after interacting with her staff, after interacting with her volunteers in Richmond and in Chantilly. And like my respect and uh, affection for the type of leader that she is, the servant leadership that you see there. She got us the food and everything. I mean, it was just it just grows over time as I see the good work that she's doing and how well she treats her people. Um, so that's kind of the personal note about Tram. If you look up New Virginia Majority and Virginia and the work that they've done in passing their own Voting Rights Act, it's amazing. It's a blueprint material. First in the South, former Confederate state, to pass things like repealing voter ID law and no excuse absentee voting, all kinds of stuff. But I'll let her speak to that and the struggle to keep it going, because a win is temporary in electoral politics, and they call it the struggle for a reason, right, Tram? It never stops.
That's right. It never stops. It never stops. Thank you, Charles, for that kind introduction, and for all of you for joining tonight. I laughed at that photo because I actually remember that day that you all came to Virginia also. So first, I want to personally thank you all for your partnership. I know it's only been 2 years, but in 2 years, you've done a lot to work with us, to fight for our democracy and for full participation here in Virginia. And collectively, we're offering a blueprint for the rest of the country. It was March of 2019 when you all came. And we met in our office on a Saturday, and we carved out a little bit of time, and you just sat and listened and absorbed everything you could about our landscape in Virginia. And then you came back and said to me, well, we'll be back in a couple months. It's only March. We got some time, but we'll come back. And you came through, and that just speaks volumes to just the dedication that we could all have when we work together, even thousands of miles across the country. So thank you. Earlier today, when I was trying to think about how I wanted to start my remarks tonight, other than the personal thank you, I'll be honest with you, it was really hard to think about a whole lot of what's happening here in Virginia and what we're fighting for, without also thinking about the realities that we are seeing in Afghanistan. I can't get that out of my mind. In part because, 40 years ago, my mom and dad left everything and everyone behind in Vietnam to pursue what they thought was their American dream at the time. They were boat people. They were part of that second wave of boat people, of refugees after the fall of Saigon, which is what we are seeing replaying on our TV sets and in the news in Afghanistan. And, they risked their lives. They risked the lives of not only themselves, but, their children, the rough waters of the South China Sea, and they made it. They made it to Thailand, and I was born in that refugee camp. And we made it here to America. And, 40 years ago, they didn't know if they would actually survive that. They didn't know if they would make it here, let alone imagine that the daughter that they gave birth to in a refugee camp would grow up to be one of the fiercest defenders of that dream that they had of America, of that promise of freedom and, having a voice that they could believe in government again. But here I am, and it feels a little bit like coming full circle. And, the experiences that I faced growing up here in the South, here in Virginia, with racial profiling and discrimination and, growing up as an immigrant here, I've always sort of envisioned myself playing a role in this new world that we want to live in, that like it didn't have to be this way, As a child, like I kept thinking, you know, it doesn't have to be this way. But I didn't know what it could be. I didn't know what I wanted it to look like. But I also knew that it didn't have to be the way that it was. So in 2008, I helped start this organization, New Virginia Majority, with the purpose of organizing and engaging new Americans, Black people, brown people, young people, working class folks, to form a new majority power block in Virginia. And we formed this organization because we dared to dream of what would be possible if we could have a more representative democracy, one where our elected officials actually reflected the diversity of our state. No more just like majority white men, right, representing us. And what could it look like if there were more of us who could be in these seats of power, or who had seats at the table even, who've been on the sidelines for far too long? So what would it look like if we finally had a voice and finally had agency over these decisions that impact our lives? And 10 years ago, very few believed that as a bastion of the South, Virginia could be a protagonist in a story of a more just and inclusive democracy for America, that we could potentially lead the way for progressive victories across the country. Because let's face it, in 2013, as recently as 2013, I think that I got that year right, Republicans had the trifecta here. They control the office of the governor. They had both chambers of the General Assembly. Our districts, and I know we're going through redistricting now, but our districts were intentionally drawn to pack Black voters into as few districts as possible. Everything was stacked against us. And this was like 2013, not that long ago, because apparently time flies and we're missing like a whole 2021 year right now. The local organizations like ours have always understood the political potential of Virginia because we live here, we work here, our lives are here. And so for the past 14 years, we've organized and we've reached voters of all colors, women, low-income folks, young people, meeting them where they are. And this year-round organizing has allowed us to develop this robust base of support, of community members, of folks who are deeply engaged in our political process. And so, you know, by expanding this electorate, we have racked up win after win after win. And because of the tremendous coalition of partners that we have, both in state and national, like you all are our national partners. For the first time since 1993, Democrats now control all governing bodies in the state. That's because of what happened in 2019. In an off-year election, together, we made history. We made the impossible possible. We flipped both chambers of the General Assembly, not just one seat, like both chambers, the state Senate and the state House. We got the trifecta. And as a result, in the last 2 years, I mean, we mentioned the Voting Rights Act, but I've lost count of how many first in the South victories we've had. We passed the Virginia Values Act, that is a nod to protecting the LGBTQ community and making that the law of Virginia's land. Note, like all the anti-discrimination laws that you can think of, we have passed the Virginia Values Act. We passed the Domestic Workers Bill of Rights, the first in the South that protects all of our home care workers and making sure that they are treated as humanly as possible. A Reproductive Health Protection Act at a time when we know that women's reproductive rights are under attack and may be stripped away. We proactively passed an act to protect that here in Virginia. We've legalized marijuana, we've abolished the death penalty, we passed the Clean Economy Act, getting Virginia as a first in the South towards a 100% carbon-free, clean emissions. We've explicitly declared racism a public health crisis. It is in our books, in our law, that racism is a public health crisis, meaning that government and agencies actually have to look through that lens, that framework, when they think about the policies that they implement. And then, the near and dear thing to me is the Voting Rights Act of Virginia after Shelby v. Holder in 2013. And then just a month ago, the Arizona case, Supreme Court ruled on. We know that our voting rights are under attack. We saw the insurrection on January 6th. I mean, everything, like what it means to be an American, this democracy is so fragile right now. And here, where a lot of it was founded in this country 400 years ago, first enslaved Africans were brought to the shores of our country. Also, the first representative democracy was formed in the House of Burgesses here in Virginia. And we haven't been right the last several centuries. We've not gotten it right. We've suppressed the vote. We've been the bastion of Jim Crow. And this year we said no more, right? So we passed the Virginia Voting Rights Act, which is the most robust voting rights protection that we have in the country right now. And these are all things that we can be proud of. Altogether, we passed over 250 bills on our legislative agenda in the last 2 years. 250. It's a lot. And it's because we've had more folks who understand our communities, who look like us, who better reflect the diversity of our state. And it's honestly not a coincidence that most of these progressive legislative victories have been led by women of color. Folks like Senator Ghazala Hashmi, who you all played a major role in help getting elected in 2019. So thank you, because people like her, people like us, are the ones that are making a difference in our Commonwealth and showing not only how Virginians how we can move forward, but showing the country how we can move forward. But despite all our victories, and it feels like a lifetime of victories all like passed into 2 years, we have a long way to go. We're not alone in that, right? We are facing some of the greatest challenges of our lifetimes, not only a public health crisis, but a crisis among our economic, our political, and our social systems. And it's all sort of converging all at once. So we've got a lot at stake this election year. We have all 3 statewide seats, the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, that are all on the ballot, as well as 100 seats in our House of Delegates. They're all on the ballot, where control of that chamber is on the line. The outcome of this election this year will determine whether Democrats maintain their governing trifecta, a test of whether we can hold on to the victories and maintain forward momentum, or if we revert back to 2013, when Republicans controlled the House and the governor's seat, and we were just playing defense. And I think that's really important for us, like whether we go backwards or whether we go forward here as a state. But it's also not important just for Virginia. It's important for the country, because all eyes are on Virginia. And as we think about 2022 and the midterm elections and what's at stake for the country in the midterm elections, we have a lot to prove here in Virginia, that we can win on progressive values, on progressive policies, and progressive ideals, and that we should not be afraid to speak truth for our communities and to hold our elected officials accountable. We've got great candidates. We've endorsed all 3 statewide: Terry McAuliffe, Haya Ayala, and Mark Herring. We've endorsed in 22 House of Delegate races. We have a goal of doing 1 million direct voter contact attempts, mainly on the doors, if we can continue to do it in a COVID-safe way, also by phone if necessary. But we're ready to go. And I know that we have one of our candidates here. I don't know if she's joined yet. I'm looking on the participant list before I
don't think she's joined yet, Tram.
Okay, she hasn't joined yet. Perfect. So I'll try to keep an eye out for when she does join. But I mean, like I said, we just have a lot at stake this year. We have a 55-seat majority in our House of Delegates, and that 55 seat has been wonderful. Because on some of our most progressive legislation, we don't have all 55, right? And so we started this year thinking, let's get 55 and maybe flip a couple more seats and give us a bigger cushion. Um, I don't know. I mean, I know you all are feeling it just as much as I'm feeling it, is that folks are exhausted. Our voters are exhausted. They think that, you know, we've gone through so much in the last 4 years. And so the task that we have in front of all of us is to dig a little deeper, to let folks know that, you know, and I feel bad for saying this every year, but every year is the most important year. And this year really is one of our most important years in terms of the elections. So we're going out, we're talking to voters, we're listening, meeting people where they are, which is super, super important, and just trying to get folks energized about this election. Because it's not about the election at the end of the day, right? We want people to vote, but we also want them to stay engaged. Those policy victories that I mentioned would not have been possible if we were not able to engage folks year round. Our elections aren't our finish line. They're just the starting place, in fact, for us to then push for the change that we want to see. So I know y'all talked a little bit about the Voting Rights Act of Virginia last time. I'm happy to dig in a little bit more on that. Voting rights has been what I call my heart's work. In all of our policy buckets that we engage in, the democracy bucket has always been near and dear to me. So in 2018, just before you all came and we started this journey together, Virginia was 49th in the country when it came to voting. We had some of the most restrictive voting laws in the books, whether it was strict photo ID or, you know, requiring folks to have one of 19 excuses that were valid in order to vote absentee. I mean, you think about it, if you think of it, they threw it up as a barrier. And so after we won in 2019, that was one of our first priorities, was let's open up the doors of democracy. Let's make this as easy as possible. So in the 2020 legislative session, we passed a slew of voting rights expansion laws. We got rid of the strict photo ID requirement. We enacted a 45-day early voting period. We, you know, allow people to vote easily by mail. We had all of these things on the books because we knew that democracy is really important. And I just got a message that Hala has joined us, which I am so, so, so excited for you all to meet her. Hala is a dear, dear friend who I met in 2015. So this was before, you know, the Trump election and everything else. Hala has always, always been a community fighter. Her historic candidacy for lieutenant governor is truly inspiring for all of us on so many levels, because Hala is not only somebody who cares about our communities, but she comes from our community, right? She understands the struggles that folks face on a day-to-day basis, and she brings those experiences into the halls. I've had the pleasure of working with her since she's been elected in the House of Delegates since 2017, and she is running to be our first woman of color lieutenant governor in Virginia's 400-plus year history, and I'm so excited that you all get to meet her briefly tonight. So Hala, if you're on, would love for you to turn on your camera and your mic and say a few words.
Hello, Tram. How are you? I'm chilling with my VA Dem shirt today. How are you doing? How is New Virginia Majority doing? You know, all the work that has to be done, you know, this election cycle. So I'm really excited to be with you today. Thank you for inviting me into your space. You know, for those who are just now meeting Tram or just getting to know Tram, this woman is a powerhouse. She can shift a room. She can shift an election cycle and getting candidates across the finish line. As you can tell, you know, I've had an early morning, one more cup of coffee, I'll be on my A game and be up for the rest of the night also. But it's very true. But we're so excited to be here. Thank you for all the hard work that you're doing. Tram and I go way back. She actually trained me in this leadership, in this progressive leadership project that she was a part of. And when she asked me to join it, I was like, nah, I don't want to be on the forefront. I'm a worker bee. I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to be in the limelight because I have too much sass. I'm just so mouthy, And she was like, no, you can jump on in, you be authentically you, which is, you got to be ready for all of that. But at the same time, she embraced it. She helped hone in my storytelling, which is part of my strength in campaigning, just being able to tell stories about why I'm running for office. And they really shifted, her work in this area of getting candidates ready for running for office really shifted my way that I campaign. And I still use some of those values or lesson learned today. So I know she shares them with you, New Virginia Majority, for all the work that you're doing, knocking doors, getting good candidates across the finish line. And look, it always takes a village to make us successful. And without you, we're not success. So we're looking towards the fall, and the work that you're doing and being in the endorsement and your support means the world to all of us. And I'm talking about every little piece because I just don't want to forget anything to celebrate just a deep appreciation I have for how you delivered. If you don't know a lot about me or my candidacy, New Virginia Majority was a part of flipping my seat blue in 2017 with the wave election. Rich Anderson, who is now the chair of the Republican Party of Virginia. How this happened, God will only know. It's a secret between him and that chair, but he is now the Republican chair, but at the time held this district seat in which I currently hold. I beat him the first time in that blue wave election in 17, and then he came back again. So New Virginia Majority had to show up not just once, but twice to deliver the election, to make sure we made progresses on Medicaid expansion, gun safety reforms, protecting an individual's right to choose, to all of these things that we're celebrating, removing Jim Crow and bird laws from our systems that have really disenfranchised Black and brown voters, immigrants, and just people of color. And just that in itself is something that you should applaud yourselves, but thank everyone with New Virginia Majority for doing the work that you do. It's the grunt work. It's not always the sexiest of work, but it's the work that really makes the most impact and has made the most change across this Commonwealth. Running for lieutenant governor was not on my radar. So when I decided to run, I talk with my partners, I talk with leaders like the one on this call or on this Zoom. And it took a lot, for me just to throw in the towel, because so many people invested in my delegate race and wanted us to continue to succeed. Now that we've got a great candidate in the 51st district, if you haven't heard her name, Brianna Soule, she is a fabulous candidate. She is just going to really bring it home this fall. And now we're hoping that the Democrats prevail in this election cycle. And so the work that you're going to do will help us, get across the finish line. 79 days. If you're like me, the day is already over. So 78 days starting tomorrow, before the election. Early voting starts September 17th. So please don't forget to remind your friends and neighbors to vote. We can't get complacent, because just in the years and the gains we've made in the House of Delegates have really delivered 500,000 Virginians to have access to affordable health care. And again, you're part of that story, and just so much work. Anyway, I just want to say how grateful I am for you all to get out the vote, to be a part of history. A lot of girl power, is gonna, prevail. We are, this is much more than me as a candidate. This is about the future of Virginia and planting the seeds and opening the door for the future. So I'm going to work really hard to not only make you proud, but also, hopefully earn your vote and work with you to get across the finish line as we not only deliver the House of Delegates, but the top tier ticket, the trifecta. Thank you for having me, Tram, and letting me share all kinds of things this evening. I'm here to, answer any questions if you have a few or have some time to chat about them. If not, I'll be back. This won't be the first or last time that I'll show up, but I'm very appreciative of the work that you're doing.
Hala, I love you. And I know you must be so exhausted because you're counting the 79 days and I'm sitting here counting the 32 days until September 17th because I'm like, oh my God.
My hair is on fire. It's like, get out the ballots yesterday. Get everybody to the polls today. Yeah.
You must be so exhausted. I just want folks to really understand why we've supported you for so long. Why I mean, like you said, we go way back. And one of the things that that captured my attention and oh my God, Hala's the real deal. If you could tell us the story, I mean, just your personal story, I love personal stories, girl. So anyway, if you could just, because this, just for folks in the audience, because we've got folks joining us from also across the country who have come and knocked on doors and are coming again, it's just truly such an inspiring story. And it's actually what brought you to the arena, right, to run for office. And if you don't mind sharing just a couple minutes of that, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. Well, I have you to think. I remember going through this leadership project and trying to figure out how to tell my story, because if you wouldn't believe it if I told you everything in this story, because it was like an ABC school special, right? This is not possible that this could possibly happen to one person. But when you grow up, your mother loses her husband very early on to gun violence. My father was taken from us very early. And then you read about his death in the paper. No one bothered to call her, to phone her, to tell them my father was killed. That was very traumatizing to my mother. He was our breadwinner. We stood in food lines. She wondered how she was going to put food on the table, keep a roof over our head, but also just struggled with depression and trauma from losing, the love of her life. And then she had a new baby, me, and she had to care for myself. And, you never forget the stories when your parents tell you that. And then it sets the tone for the rest of your life. Like, where are you going to go from here? Fast forward it, history has a way of repeating itself. I'm planning my family, almost lost my son working at a minimum wage job in a gas station, no safety net, no healthcare, wondering how I was going to put food on the table or keep a roof over my head. It's one thing to tell people to find the boots to pick yourself up by, but you've got to have the boots to pick yourself up by. And so I'm the exception, not the rule, because the way the tone of my life was set for me, or the trajectory, you just don't think you're going to be here to talk about the way you're going to running for office, to say, or just how you're going to be alive to even get this far. And then if you told me, just a few weeks ago, I'd be sharing the stage with the president of the United States, I would have told each and every one of you, this was nutty. There was no way possible. But, I think it was just perseverance and trying to work harder and find a way to make it. And I never wanted another Virginian to ever feel that way. Virginia's my home. I've been here all my life, but you are my family. I want to do everything I can to fight for you. And that's why I ran for office, because when Trump got into office in 2016, my world changed. I was in fetal position and I knew what he was going to do. He was going to put kids in cages. He was going to, profile Black and brown Virginians. He was going to do all of these horrible things that actually transpired, over the course of 4 years. And I wanted to be the firewall. So with your help, I was able to do that. So I can't thank you for enough for allowing me to take those first steps. When you're walking through the halls of Jefferson and Madison, they didn't envision, people of color walking these halls. And then, needless to say, being able to vote. We see democracy and how fragile it is today in Texas and so many other states, how they're just trying to undermine the faith in our institutions, our democracy. So the work that you do not only is important to the people that, making sure we're electing the right people, but just protecting these things that are afforded to us in the Constitution, like the right to vote. and that is just so important. So my story, again, is not unique because there's a lot of Virginians that have this lived experience. And they're saying, we connect with you. We want you to take these good policies in the space and you'll continue to fight for us, but also talk with the governor about making sure we protect our communities of color, our immigrants, and making sure that we uplift every voice and every Virginian to ensure equity and equality is afforded to each and every one of us. And at the end of the day, I am just excited. I've lost my voice from a lot of talking and call time, and but it is the journey that has been bittersweet when I hear from voters across this nation, across this Commonwealth, and across every community talk about why it's so important that we are elected this fall. So the work that you do is just thankless, but I am grateful. I just want you to hear that from me. If nothing else, if I could hug each and every one of you, I would, because you are making change one door at a time, one call at a time, one postcard at a time, or one door knocking session at a time. It really facilitates the future and will make change. So I'm so ever so grateful for the work that you've done to get me across the finish line, not once, but twice, and hopefully 3 times is the charm. I am fired up and ready to go. I am not going to leave no stone unturned. And thank you, Tram, for letting me be a part of this forum tonight, and just thanking your team and all the seeds that you're planting for this Commonwealth. You are one powerhouse. Your group is amazing, and I just can't say enough. You can tell me to be quiet. I am just so ever grateful.
Thank you. And, you did a lot of thanking to us, but we need to thank you for putting yourself out there, for running for office. It is not easy. And that's why, not all of us are jumping up to do it. And so thank you for representing all of us and for representing those that don't even know that they deserve to be represented. So thank you. We're gonna do everything we can. We're gonna get to November 2nd with a victory that night.
Speaking of, girl, yes. Don't let I can't say that. I should just stop while in my head, but don't let the smooth taste fool you guys. Don't buy into the stuffs others are selling, because not all good juice is great juice, but what I will say is, yes, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. You guys are phenomenal. I tell you, Tram has changed the district by herself. If you never hear the story, this will be saved for another day. There was a district, it was changed. You guys did it, New Virginia majority, and that just set this place on fire. So y'all are the powerhouse of organizations. Much respect. I'm ready to knock doors with you. Nancy, she's like, let's go knock doors. Let's go do that. Let's go do that, Nancy. Let's get the doors. Let's get it done.
Thank you so much, Hala. We don't want to keep you. I know it's getting late and you should get some rest. So thank you so much. See you soon. You.
Be well, be blessed, and don't do anything I wouldn't do. But if you do, do it better. Take care. Bye.
Oh, I love her so much. I think you can see that she's a very real person and very down to earth, and she's going to make a great lieutenant governor, which is critical because we need her tie vote in the state Senate for a number of key measures. So anyway, I know the hour is getting late, so I'm going to kick it back to Charles and get back to your agenda. But thank you for humoring us.
And she's amazing. She is amazing. And also, we got a little bit of extra shine there just for being in the shadow of you, Tram. We got some New Virginia shine there, and I appreciate that. Whatever we deserve, we'll take, and whatever extras, we'll pay it forward this fall for sure. Hiba.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Tram, for being here, Meredith as well. And of course to Hala for being here. This is my my personal fangirling. I am Arab American and so is Hala. And so it's always wonderful for me to see role models running for office and doing really cool things. So thank you for giving us all the opportunity to hear from her. Great, so I'm gonna go ahead and reshare my screen. Let's see here. Cool. And now I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful colleagues, Maggie and AJ, to talk about their time in Virginia and how much fun they had, and to hopefully convince all of you, if you need additional convincing for some reason, if you're not there already, to convince you to come with us this fall as we travel to Virginia. So Maggie, I'll start with you.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to give you a little background, and then AJ is going to take it over just about what we did in 2019. So there were 2 trips to Virginia, but I'm going to talk about the one where we went to Northern Virginia, to Chantilly, which is what Charles was talking about earlier. So AJ and I led a group of about 50 people, and I see a lot of familiar faces here who came along with us in October leading into November of 2019, and worked with New Virginia Minority to knock on doors for several races, a few of them that were extremely exciting. One was Phyllis Randall, who was running for supervisor of the Loudoun County, and Tram and Meredith, correct me if I say anything incorrect, that's what I recall. And she was running to hold her seat and also to try to flip the Loudoun County board, which it was a 6-3, I think, Republican majority at the time. And there's a picture, I don't know if it's back a little bit, there was a picture of her speaking to us. Yeah, that's her, the top, sorry, in the white sweater. That's Phyllis Randall. And she really fired us up. We knocked on doors. We knocked on 7,000 doors while we were there for, I believe, 6 days. We also knocked on doors for Ghazala Hashmi, who is in the literature that you can see right there. And then we also knocked on doors for Buddha Bibaraj, who was running for the Commonwealth Attorney. And she flipped that seat by only about 2,000 votes from Republican to Democrat. And those attorney seats are incredibly important, obviously, for just improving our justice system and actually making it fair. So those were the people that we were knocking on doors for. And the relationship with New Virginia Majority was really amazing too. They actually had 2 people who we were working with in Chantilly, a woman named Annabelle and a woman named Liz, who we have kept in touch with, who actually had come from Arizona to work with New Virginia Majority in this off year to kind of learn how to do what New Virginia Majority has done. And those are the 2 people that we continue to work with on Arizona. So these trips really can be amazing connection points for other progressive leaders and organizers throughout. So yeah, 7,000 doors, lots of candidates, and then we had a lot of fun and did a lot of things in community. So I'm going to let AJ speak to what it was like kind of on the ground with the group.
Hi, folks. Yeah, so Maggie lets me talk about this kind of fun because she knows those numbers spreadsheets are not my kind of fun. And that was the awesome thing about having Maggie as a partner team lead person is we both had our strengths, and spreadsheets and numbers were not mine. So I was the other lead. So one of the awesome things about CP, hold on, I'm sorry, this spotlight is like, it's freaking me out a little bit. I need to move it into gallery. I apologize. One of the awesome things about working with CP is that you do it as a team, right? Like Maggie said, we had probably the biggest team so far. I'm hoping that CP is able to break that record at some point, but I think we had the biggest team so far of about 55 folks, maybe 56 or 57, like if we count Charles, because he slid on over to us. But the awesome thing about it is you get to build community with a group of people that you probably would not have built community with otherwise. Now, I will say this, like Tram was mentioning, a lot of people are burnt out and this work is really difficult, knocking on doors. Sometimes people don't answer, but you hear them inside the house. It can get really, really discouraging. The awesome thing, though, about doing this with a whole group of people who are just as amped up, well, I should say this, more amped up than I was, because I will say this, knocking on doors is not my strong. Charles, don't laugh at me. You're laughing a little too hard for my liking right now, sir. Knocking on doors is not my strong suit. The awesome thing about CP is that you do it in community so that if it's not your strong suit, you go and you do it with somebody who it is their strong suit, and hopefully their strength becomes your strength. Now, Maggie's strength of spreadsheets did not become my strength, but Maggie was so good at what she did that she wasn't able to go out into the field as often as she would have wanted, because they had to like figure out how to get a lot of really eager people, turfs and all that jazz. My strength was keeping folks occupied until it was time to go. Okay. Now, the awesome part is afterwards, I learned a lot of things about wine that I did not know previously, because the awesome thing about traveling with adults is then you get to like decompress however you see fit. And so a lot of times in the lobby at the end of dinner or whatever, which was also really awesome in having a big team, is because we had people helping us figure out where to eat and which restaurants could hold a group as big as we were. So it was really like you got to, it's like college all over again with like a really big sports team, and you get to travel around, you get to do stuff together, you get to build this camaraderie. There was also a little competition, who knocked on the most doors, who dropped off the most flyers. You really just turned it into like a really big, awesome, like adult summer camp situation. And the awesome thing is, not only do you learn a lot about the community that you're assisting, you get to stretch yourself too, especially if this is something that you're not used to. And on top of that, you build lasting connections. Look at the awesome connection that we built with Tram. And on top of that, look at the awesome connections that we built with folks working within Tram's network that have strengthened what CP does for the communities that we are able to build connections with. Because of the work that we've been able to do with Tram, that also gives us a little legitimacy, because we come in and we actually stick to the things that we said we were going to do. We, most of us, live in Seattle. We have our own kind of democratic process that we need to figure out. It is absolutely imperative. It is imperative that we follow the lead of the partner org. If we came in and we messed up a bunch of stuff for New Virginia Majority, we would not come back. I'm pretty sure Tram would be like, yo, it was awesome, thanks for your help. But like, yeah, we're gonna do things differently the next election cycle. But the awesome thing is, everybody that went, as large of a group as this was, and even sometimes smaller groups, because you buy into what CP is doing, we are then able to build connections with New Virginia Majority that then cause us to be able to come back and amplify the work that someone like Tram is doing. The most important part for me in what CP does as a person of color is that we do not go in and cause harm and disrupt the spaces that we are working in. It is imperative that we do that. And in order to do that, we got to do it with community, because again, hurt people hurt people. And if you're feeling all out of sorts and the work is too difficult and all of that, then it makes it harder for you to do good work. CP and community makes it possible, not only possible, but to word to Charles James Douglas III, sustainable for us to continue doing this work. I know I'm giving Charles a lot of credit today, and I don't know how I feel about it right now, but the important thing is community equals sustainability. In order for us to be in this for the long run, in order for us to, as again, Charles says, not be putting out fires, right? We can't run around going out, putting out fires. We need to create firewalls. We need to create opportunities for people like Tram to be able to take a breath and be like, okay, I got this, and keep pushing. And that takes us showing up in spaces like Virginia and all the other states and building that community both within Seattle and also with folks in Virginia. So I hope that you less reluctant door knockers will come have Virginia be your first kind of foray into the door knocking experience. Because if I didn't leave CP after Virginia, then there's going to be very little that causes me to leave CP. But either way, Virginia was awesome. I can't wait to go back, which is really surprising. Really, Charles, we were doing so well, and then here you go. Anyway, come check out Virginia with us. Virginia is going to be awesome. Virginia is where I cut my teeth, and I'm still here. So if I can do it, and I'm doing it willingly, I'm actually doing the learning tour, and then I'm staying in Virginia to knock on doors, which, you know, it's just because of how awesome Tram is. It really is. So hopefully folks will sign up for Team Virginia. It'll be, thank you, Ben. I really appreciate you for understanding how difficult this was for me. But yeah, Virginia was awesome. The community part of it was epic. I learned a lot about wine and cheese and what cheese goes with certain wines. It was just an informative experience all the way. But hopefully we will see a whole bunch of you there. If you have questions, Hiba is the perfect person to have talk to you if you'd like to get involved in Virginia. And I hope that we can beat our team of 55. That would be awesome.
Amazing. That was perfect. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, AJ. Great transition as well into what is next, which is how do you sign up? At this point, I'm sure every single person on this call is convinced. And so I'm going to go ahead and hop to our how to get engaged. So the first thing is we have a form for Team Virginia. So I'm going to drop it in the chat here. Go ahead and sign up. I do want to acknowledge that there are some people who just, for whatever reason, and all valid reasons, are just not going to be able to travel with us. We will have some virtual opportunities as well. So if that is you, please sign up using this form, and we will make sure to offer all of the opportunities available, whether it's in person or virtual. The next step here, though, is to mark your calendars. I do want to mention, honorary mention, September 8th is our state teams fair, where we will officially kick off our Team Virginia and the leadership that is going to help us manage our work in Virginia. So mark your calendars for that. But then our 2 trips will be happening at the end of September and the end of October. And that final trip will be over the election. So it will be extra exciting, I think, for all of us to be there. But mark your calendars for these dates as well. We are going to have some recommendations about where to stay, maybe the best times to arrive, all of that jazz. But in the meantime, please just prepare to fly with us and to be there those days. I included researching your state for 2021 and 2022. It's important. There's a lot of really good information out there. If you're prepared for Virginia, read the recent article about the Voting Rights Act, read about what Republicans are trying to do to flip seats and to also preserve their existing seats in the House of Delegates right now. It's all really important. And I know from my own experience working with Common Power volunteers that many of you like to feel prepared and have that information ready. And it is extremely valuable to the folks that we're working with that we have this foundational knowledge. So those are our how to get engaged steps. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know, but that form is the best place to begin. And then for our last piece here, I'm actually going to pause before we play this extremely fun game that is going to be quick. It's 10 questions, so I won't keep you too long. But Charles, anything you want to add before we have additional fun in a different way?
No, also I love the phrase additional fun in a different way. That's very cool. Tram, thank you again for making time tonight. 3 hours ahead over there. It's always awesome to see you, whether we're in Virginia or you come to visit us. I was gonna have you promise to come back again, but that's mean. We're gonna hope that our schedules align and have you speak to our community again. When we get our team together, when we get our team leads together, they're gonna be making the trip out there and leading the remote work. We'd love to have you get them hyped up and talk to them if you're available. But thank you for joining.
I'm happy to join you all anytime. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing, not only for us here in Virginia, but for folks all over the country. I love the Arizona connection and also the work that you're doing to make your home a better and welcoming place. So just thank you, because we're all in this together.
That's right. Thanks, Cham.
Yes, thank you. All right, well, folks who are going to stay for this game, again, I promise it will be quick. I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen for the directions here. Actually, you know what? We're just going to go right to the game. Why not? Here we go. All right, you should be able to see this on your screen. Can I get a thumbs up if you are able to see the Kahoot screen? Incredible. Okay, so what you need to do is you can go on your phone or on desktop to kahoot.it. Once you're there, you will enter the game pin, and I will drop the pin in the chat if that's easier. So the pin here, and I'll say it out loud as well. We have 875-1506. Once you enter the pin, it will ask for a name. So go ahead and put whatever name you wish to be identified with for this purpose. So again, that's 875-1506. We'll give it some time. I see 10 people have joined, 11, numbers climbing. So we'll give it another minute or so.
Hey, Heba, this is David. I was wondering if I might make an announcement while people are signing up.
Please do.
Okay, awesome. So as part of our work this fall, we are really excited to announce tonight that we are going to do a luncheon event on September 20th. We're calling it Lunch and Launch for our work. It's an opportunity to support Common Power and to invite people you care about so that they can learn about how to do work on the road to 2022. So it's 2021 and 2022 focused. It is a luncheon event with a registration ticket. As Julia just dropped into the chat, Julia G, our new donor engagement coordinator, there are tickets there, purchase them, ask friends and family to purchase them, and then come and help us raise some money, as well as hear from 3 awesome speakers for Dr. Terry Scott, our Common Power We the People Public Scholar Fellow, from Bob Zellner and Pamela Zellner, incredible American fighters for justice, and Maya Castillo, the political director from New Virginia Majority, who joined us a week and a half ago and will come back and give us an update with 6 weeks to go. So that is just on the books right now. It's on our events page. We will be sharing it out in an email to everybody, but please mark your calendar, September 20th, 12 to 1 p.m. for a really special CP event, Lunch and Launch. Thanks, Hibba.
Yeah, thank you. How exciting. Amazing. Oh, Nancy's already got her tickets. Amazing. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to drop in the chat the website and the pin in case folks are struggling, but we are going to continue on with the game here, and you should be able to join even after the fact. So get ready. I will read the questions out loud and the answers as well. First question here, what is the Commonwealth's motto? Is it smiling faces, beautiful places? Virginia is for lovers, pure Virginia, or the Grand Canyon State? 8 seconds left. All right, lots of folks got it right. Great work. Oh, we have AJ in the lead. One thing I will mention that was on the slide, but I will say out loud, if you answer correctly, the faster you answer, the more points you get. So that's something else to keep in mind.
AJ, you knew that already, didn't you?
I think this is supposed to be a silent game.
Oh,
Governors cannot serve consecutive terms, true or false? Sorry, Charles. She may have known, yeah. Cool. 8 seconds, 5, 4. Amazing, great work. So that is true. Although my understanding is folks have run again after they've served, but just not consecutively. All right, Maggie is taking the lead here. Question 3. Virginia is known as the, quote, mother of blank, the colonies, America, presidents, the East. All right, presidents is correct, presumably because they've had a lot of presidents from there, so. Great, where are we on the scoreboard? Oh, Elizabeth, great work. Continuing to climb, lots of folks who've been climbing up that round. True or false? Virginia currently has same-day voter registration. It is actually false. So my understanding is that a bill was passed and signed, but it won't go into effect until next year. And Tram, if I'm incorrect, please let me know. But I also think Hala is the one who spearheaded that effort. So it is currently false.
oh, we should have a new leader now, huh?
We're working on it.
Liz is killing it. Yeah, you got it, Meredith.
All right, what year did Virginia become a state? Or perhaps I should have written Commonwealth, my apologies. 1788, 1698, 1798, or 2001?
AJ, if you don't get this right.
Silent game.
17.
Is that in the rules? Silent?
Is Hibba not leading this?
Usually there's music and that, encourages people to listen to the music.
The music gives me anxiety.
Does it? Okay, well, I'm glad that it's not here then. According to census data, the population of Virginia is approximately 8.5 million, 7.4 million, 9.1 million, or 7 million. 8.5 million is correct.
I'm on fire.
Right on. We still have Jesse leading.
I don't see you up there on the thing, man. I don't think you can say that until you're up there. Sorry.
How many delegates are there in Virginia? 83, 100, 32, or 79?
Can there be a question about the Civil War?
There's not currently, but I will keep that in mind for next time. Yes.
There should be, because in Virginia, there's always something about the Civil War.
True.
We can't escape it.
Amen. Next time, now I know that folks are interested in more history questions. Thank you. The answer is
Henry Box Brown. AJ, I'll show you the little monument to him. There's a box.
Oh my gosh, do they still have the box?
It's an artistic representation, but there is the box, yes.
Okay, y'all, I'm going to Virginia earlier. I just want to let you know I would like to see this box, please.
Amazing. I want to shout out Freddie, who has an answer streak of 3. So great work, Freddie. All right, Skyline Drive will take you through which mountain range? The Shenandoah, Appalachian, Great Smoky, or Blue Ridge?
This is tough. Whew. This one's tough.
You know that means he clicked the button immediately. He knew the answer from Joe.
Oh,
Ridge is the answer.
I love the encouragement when I get it wrong, though. When I get it wrong, it's so great.
Shenandoah is a large park, is a large national park within the state.
I'm 154 points behind Christine.
All right, 2 more questions. The Democratic ticket in this year's gubernatorial race is Glenn Youngkin and Winsome Sears, Terry McAuliffe and Hala Ayala, Jennifer Carroll Foy and Lee Carter, or Justin Fairfax and Pete Snyder.
100% on this one, y'all. 100%.
Yeah, I hope so. There are some clues in tonight's presentation. Close.
Yeah. David wasn't listening. Dave, was that you, David?
No.
Joking.
All right, Elizabeth is still in the lead. 1 question left. True or false? Yes, I will be signing this back at Virginia.
Whoa. Wow. Extra points for that one. That's that's tough, Hiba.
That's tough. And there is a way that you can add extra points to certain questions. But I did not do that this time. Amazing. Okay, well,
It's a binding contract.
Yeah. It is not yet, but again, suggestion for the next one.
That's awesome.
All right, let's see who's coming out on top. Congratulations, Freddie in 3rd, Nancy in 2nd, and our spotlight winner, Elizabeth. Congratulations.
Wow.
Amazing. We have our runner-ups as well, Jesse and Double D. This was fun.
Very
I hope
cool.
you enjoyed that. And the confetti as well. We can do this in person as well in the future and bring real confetti that is biodegradable and safe for animals. But
September
anyway,
8th, come, there'll be confetti.
Yes. Good pitch, Anita. Thank you. Great. Well, that's all we have for you all today. I'm going to drop the link again to the form. Sorry. Let me share this to everyone. In case you
I
didn't.
think Elizabeth on my team. I just want to put that out there. The top 3 on my team. I claimed them. So
There you go.
just putting that out there. Charles, you can be mad all you want to.
Amazing. Well, thank you all so much. Again, Charles, is there anything you want to add before we sign off and wish everyone a great night?
No, I think you should close it up, but I just want to call out, I think AJ just volunteered to be a team lead again. Yeah, I think that's what I heard. She said my team. So yeah. Anyways, back to you, Hiba. It's been great. That game was awesome. It's very cool. I just want to know what my score was as compared to David. That's all.
Oh, okay. I'll see if I can figure that out for you. Yeah, well, thank you everyone for being here. Truly appreciate your time this evening, especially our folks on the East Coast and our special guest speakers. It's always lovely being in community with folks, especially as we're welcoming new faces and giving them the opportunity to be in this community as well with us is really special. So thank you. If you have any questions, I think most of you know how to reach me. And if not, you know how to reach someone who knows how to reach me. So we will be in touch soon, but thank you all so much. I'll stick around for a couple of minutes if there are questions, but yeah, we'll see you all soon. Take care.
I have a quick